part. So I'm amazed that hey man, I got a game out. Unfortunately, right now there's not it can't monetize it, right? It's sort of like even ChatGPT a couple of years ago. I created some of those and you couldn't make money on it, but now you can actually go to market with it. So I'm hoping the same with Runway. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Dylan Goldblatt. I work at Kennesaw State in the Office of Research. I serve there as AI strategist and applied researcher. One of the things that I find most interesting that's happening now that surprised me quite a bit is what's happening with real-time translation and localization. People who work in the Roblox community are already aware that they're building that in as table stakes for developers, but we're also seeing real-time translation and localization happening for retro games through RetroArch or other forms of real-time translation being kind of easy to access for developers, which I think is huge because it really grows the community when you can take care of the less commonly spoken languages or languages outside of the mainstream markets, especially for games that were already produced. And one of the things that I think is most thrilling is that people are creating these real-time translation layers as overlays where the community of people who want to play a game can experience it in their native language without even having to involve the developer, just as a total kind of parasocial adapter for the game. So seeing translation and localization make the games that we create accessible to the whole world, I think is surprising. It's happening now. It's really low cost, and as a linguist, I just think it's awesome that that's growing so broadly.
I'm Dov Jacobson, and I have a game studio here called Games at Work, and I've had a studio since a gazillion years ago. And at the recent Transformers conference, I met Dylan, and Dylan was talking, and it was a AI and games conference, and Dylan was talking about AI playing games, and I'm like, no, AI is for making games. But he's right. It's certainly a big academic field, but it's got a commercial side to it, where game playing AI is created to play even single player games, to explore all the potential, to find the bugs. They make AI that's motivated to get the highest possible score, to grease the golden path. But they also make ones they call them curious AIs, and they go out and they try all the stupid things that you're not supposed to do to figure out if they're going to break the game. So it's a wonderful use.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm Sean Shepard. I am a multiplayer game developer, expert guy. Biggest known game that you may know is Party Animals. I did the netcode for them, and various other stuff like serious games for military and law enforcement. And I would say something that's not perhaps well known that AI is being used for, I will say by the developers themselves or the people who engage with AI to develop their games. There's something that happens within that individual, and it's like an upskill. It causes you, and this doesn't necessarily mean that it's just for game development, but since I'm in game development, I know that I'm experiencing it, is that it's helping level up my thinking and my ability to develop games because of the higher level thinking I have to put into play to feed this AI the right information to get the most use out of it. So I have to think more strategically and higher level, so it's helping robustify my skill set. But I'd like to find some of these automated tools, to be honest, because that's another thing that it's doing to me that I didn't really ask for and I don't exactly appreciate, but I'm having to do a lot more QA work because the things that it produces, I've heard Andrew Greenberg say, AI slop. Well, it's certainly a thing, and I'm having to wade through, and I'm an AI slop fast swimmer. So, but yeah, honestly, I think the upskill for me and my thought transformation that I have to undergo to interact well with it is what I would say.
Thank you. So yeah, there's a lot of good examples for me. Like the main thing, and it already dates back to a couple of years. But I mostly play and work on story-driven games, and I was very intrigued by how NPCs move into a big space, right? And one of the things that I learned was that instead of having those AI-powered NPC, one of the ways to kind of streamline movement is to use objects to attract those NPCs. And so that creates like a more natural, way the NPCs evolve in the world and make the experience much more smooth for the player. So for you, what are the most impactful ways AI is already transforming gameplay and development? Aside from the surprising things that you've mentioned.
So I don't know who in here is a fan of like racing games.
Yeah.
All right. So
Forza.
like if you ever played a racing game, you probably got a little bit frustrated by some of the bots that would play with you, because you would just be like, I think that bot's cheating because I'm doing my best and I think that AI opponent has superpowers, basically. Like it can cut the corners faster than the physics that I'm bound to in order to keep me kind of at the edge. And I think one thing that's been really an amazing achievement, like about a year ago and also following up in the spring, a team, Polyphony and Sony, worked together to create a Gran Turismo racing bot that was real. It was called Sophie. Now they're on version 2.1 of Sophie. And basically, in that game world, you're bound by the skill of your opponents. And you only want to play with opponents that have that fair level playing field with you. So being able to play against an opponent that's driven within the physics of the world, but is not human, gives you someone to help level up your skill set against. And I remember just the entire time I've been playing games as a player my whole life, I would play with the bot until I saw its key flaw, and then I would exploit and cheese only that flaw forever. And that would essentially kill my interest in the game, right? So the idea that the game could be living and level up with me and become a companion or opponent that was fairly formidable is a huge advancement, I think, in our field. And we're not yet seeing that type of progress in FPS, but we're seeing it already in racing, which has a huge reinforcement learning group behind it. So I think that's one of the advancements that'll actually increase the quality of the player experience long term, or more platforms like Sophie, which is available on like PS5 like already for the last year for the Gran Turismo folks in the room. Does anyone want this? Okay.
I think a very simple AI feature that's been transformational for me is decent text-to-speech, decent voice acting that's automated. The difference being that when you, first of all, you can have a lot more options. You can have much more responsive characters because they can be algorithmically figuring out what to say. You don't have to record 16 different things. You can, but not only that, but you're not locking yourself down at game design time and even game production time to what they're going to say. You can adjust that, forever as the game goes on, which is very liberating.
Yeah, just as you were saying that, Dylan, I just had an idea. I'm going to go implement it this afternoon using AI. But one of the things that it does really well is generate the tokens. What's the next thing? It can generate programming and all that good stuff. But a lot of games actually have a scripting pipeline, like a Lua programming that it can interpret at runtime. So these AI systems can have like an LLM in there that understands how to generate code that's dynamic to your player experience and your capabilities as a player. Haven't tried that yet, but it's a thing we could do. But what I have done and what I was a part of, what I was really, I thought was really neat, it was a really good use of AI for how it impacted gameplay. Like, so gameplay systems, you have to have like an economy, and you got to have these different mechanics that kind of work against each other. For certain types of games like simulation, RPG, you've got these economies. And one of the things that you can do is AI is really good at processing data and giving you insights instantly off your data. So like tuning your economy in the game is actually not just beneficial for the developer for monetization, but the players actually benefit quite a bit from having a highly tuned economy that adapts to their needs and engages them better. One other thing I was thinking was that we put into play was training an LLM on the individual characters in our game. I thought it was a really neat thing that our designers did. They spent a lot of time training like a specific bot. You don't like train in the context of an LLM conversation, but some of the, like ChatGPT, you can create your own chat bots basically. You give it the personality. And so there were chat bots for the different characters within the game so that designers can always stay true to what that character is. And it's very easy and fast for them to do so, even though we designed it, we gave it all the information. It just helped us keep consistency and be able to create content that's actually true to the different characters.
Are you talking about during production or during runtime?
This was during production. Yeah. Not dynamically at runtime, but I'm sure you could probably do some of that.
Next, yeah.
See, the whole dynamic at runtime thing, though, is do we have the ability to run these LLMs at runtime on like mobile devices and things like that? So a lot of this is design time, programmer time, production.
So actually regarding this, like, I do think that there is still some progress to be made when it comes to like, AI-powered character or AI-powered stories, for instance. I don't know if any of you have played AI Dungeon, but there is no, the AI is pretty good at predicting what's next, right? But not necessarily at making something coherent and engaging in terms of storytelling. And so I think that one of the ways that it is impactful in like game narrative development is by giving feedback on consistency, right? So usually when you create like a world building document or a character profile or that kind of thing, like you want to make sure that those are all consistent and that your game is going in the right direction. AI is pretty good at giving you feedback, not necessarily super good at creating it so far, right? Because either it makes something way too complex, not necessarily super engaging, and again, like coherence is a very big thing in game narrative design. You want to make sure that any person who plays your game, even if it's branching, even if it's open world, is going to get an experience that is engaging and that is inviting you to replay. So yeah, that's on my end the main thing. So there's a lot of debate about AI replacing creativity. In your view, is AI threatening high-quality game design, or can it actually expand what smaller studios and solo creators can achieve?
I believe it gives you superpowers. Basically, whatever skill set you have, it takes you to the next level. Yeah, that's what I think.
So this question is really tricky, and I wanted to dovetail off what we were talking about here also with dialogue. Games that keep people coming back, like Red Dead Redemption 2, part of their budget was supporting the voice acting and the dialogue writing for 500,000 lines of dialogue. Sure, we could have some AI tool help craft some of that dialogue or some of that voice acting, but whether or not it'll create the same player experience, I think is highly questionable. Holly Mason, who's a game CEO with a lot of knowledge of AI, she has this quote, which I always come back to, that these LLMs, when it comes to game writing, are, quote, aspirationally mid, right? And if that's what you aspire to in your game, then you've hit a gold mine, right? So you can get mid content for days, but it won't differentiate what you're creating. Now, the second thing I think you raised was about the size of the studio that's working on the project. I agree here that if you are a small team, it's a superpower because you're able to staff up roles that you don't necessarily have. You can get QA assistants or writing assistants or editorial assistants or what have you, right? But I think for large teams or established teams, it's a low-key nightmare. Those teams already battle with technical and knowledge debt, and baking in AI into lots of fragmented workflows, I think, creates a lot of problems. I think one thing we're seeing at the big studios right now is that playing out in disastrous form, right? Where Things like Reef GPT or Ghostwriter at some of these studios, they are essentially breaking more than they're fixing. And there's a lot of pressure from financial pressure to say we need to adapt, we need to accelerate. But these teams, they work around precision and good taste. And these workflows don't necessarily facilitate that or communicate decisions that they are made to other individuals who are in the production workflow. So when you're a small team or a solo dev, it's great because you already have the context in your head. But when you have context that exists outside of the work product, decisions that were made outside of the work product, because everything was AI assisted, you start to enter a morass of chaos, and it can really lead to catastrophic development hell, in my view. So I think bullish for small teams, bearish for large established teams. That's my personal take on it.
I think it might or might not threaten high quality art, but it really threatens low quality art. I miss going to a game jam and having all these crappy looking screens. I mean, really, because you said, this is a kid, this is, you can see him struggling to get a couple of pixels across it. Now everything looks like it was done by, GB Studio, and where, everything's slick.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, but that's bad for society and bad for the future, but it's great for me because I've produced a lot of crappy looking games, and no one would ever mistake for being AI.
I've seen them. No, they're good. They're good. Yeah, I would say AI is not even close to a silver bullet. It's not going. I don't know. It's already been around for as long as it has been, and do you see any companies that run their entire business off AI, especially in game development? Not a chance in hell. It's not happening. And it's not happening today anyway. It's not here yet. And so there's a lot of high value that I, as a LLM AI user, have to bring to the table to get good outcomes. I can tell you from firsthand experience, I work on a multiplayer game library doing netcode. And I work with various engines. Some, like ChatGPT's Codex, is very helpful when it comes to strategic thinking. Claude Code is very good for action and programming and stuff, but I don't care how good they are. I've used all the best models, and what I'm finding is I get a lot of good out, but if I put a lot of good in. So I'll go down these pathways, and it seems like lots of good stuff is, and I've got 25 plus years experience. So I've got a lot of things, and I'm a very subject matter expert. In the wrong hands, you can create some very fast prototypes that are not that great. They're never going to be final products. Humans are, all your creativity and everything that all your experience definitely still needs to come to bear. So pretty much I go down these pathways, and what I notice is pretty much every time I have to have these ideas and sparks. And hey, did you think about this? Did you go look at that? I'm very much a director. I'm a high-level thinker and a subject matter expert, and the AI is not good enough. It has to be guided a lot. So no, it's not coming for my job, and I don't think it's coming for a lot of people's job. We just have to find an acceptable way to use it. At least that's where we're at today.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think one of the main takeaways from this year's forum on AI and game that we had was mostly that it's a good tool, right? So it's a tool that exists, so why not use it? But it's not something that can exist without the human input. And I've had the same experience as you. I've recently tried to create an interactive digital narrative using Claude, and I felt like I gave it so much more feedback than I have to give my students, that it was absolutely exhausting. So it still cannot do it itself, right? But it's a good tool if you need feedback on something. Doug, you had
did you find that act, giving it the feedback, working, the effort you made for it, did that have value to you?
No, because I'm used to giving feedback. Okay. So I don't feel like I'm learning anything by giving an AI feedback.
But did it create better results when you did?
It did.
Okay.
It did. So I think eventually you can train it to be a little better, right? But I do think that, for instance, in my opinion, it's easier to train a human to be better at writing and then to train an AI to be better at writing at least this type of stories, right? So, and I will say even like on the students' end, because I work with a lot of students, most of them are kind of wary of AI. And in my lab, they have decided on their own that they were not going to use AI, mostly because it makes mistakes. And so they don't learn anything from it. So I thought that was pretty interesting because I didn't give them any guidelines. I told them it's a tool, you can use it if you want, but they don't want to. So if we fast forward 5 years, what's one AI in games trend you think will define the next generation of titles?
Come back to me.
Okay, so I don't know who is in the audience here, but does anyone here have experience with a Tamagotchi? Do you even know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay, who here had Dreamcast though? Okay. Do y'all remember back in the day there was this thing called a VMU, which was almost like a memory card Tamagotchi that stuck in the controller of the Dreamcast? I had big dreams for that thing. That did not pan out. But I actually think that's the direction that we're potentially heading with a long context and narrative memory for LLMs. I think that one of the areas that has the most traction and stickiness right now with LLMs is these ideas of virtual companions, where you actually have a thought partner or someone that you talk to regularly that is computer-based. And the appeal is not that you're talking to a robot. The appeal is that the robot remembers you and listens to you. Yes. And it's hard to find a listener nowadays. So I think one of the things we'll see over the next 5 years is that this companionship desire with LLMs will expand broadly to games. And that we will have these game characters serving us as companions in some way, maybe like a Tamagotchi, maybe like a phone app that checks in with me, maybe like a VMU that's part of the game system itself. But I think that the companionship we feel in game will start to find out-of-game applications like Tamagotchi did, and I think that we'll start to see people having much longer living relations that are parasocial, healthy relationships with game characters, and that people will form these bonds over time in a way that we can't yet predict, because it'll be kind of a constructive identity and a constructive conversation over time. So I remember there was an entire phase where Nintendo was on the forefront of getting data about walking habits and stuff for games like the Pokemon series, and they were trying to track your physiological state with things like Wii Fit, and they were trying to get your motion data from other systems. And I really think we're kind of going in that direction, where all of the trackers that we have with us on a day-to-day basis then somehow form that feedback loop, so that the game character or game persona is someone we have a companionship with that actually knows about us through long context. So, I mean, what is it going to be, 2030? I think Tamagotchi's coming back.
I'm kind of antisocial, but not as antisocial as the future that you're predicting seems to indicate. And I guess really the difference is going to be whether we have our private companions. And I know all these people, but I can't talk to you about them, and they can't talk to me about you. I don't mind them being artificial if they're shared. I just don't want to live in a world where everybody's in a private bubble.
I'm thinking Her, the movie. But yeah, I would say that the future I see in 5 years, I believe that a lot of the stuff I was talking about previously will probably be resolved to the point where it can do a lot more correctly. I don't have to give it as much input. But what I'd like to see, so I think the capability will be there to facilitate potentially a much more automated approach. But what I really would like to have happen out of that is bridging the gap between small teams with big ideas and big teams with, I don't know if they're big ideas, but small ideas, whatever they are. It will bridge the gap. And it will empower people to create more. So you still have to provide it the idea and iterate and find the fun with it. But I think what it will do is it will change our development pipelines. Because when you have to systematically tell somebody how to do something, you're creating a process so that you can repeat it over and over and over again. So that's what's going to happen to your game development. You're going to create these components of functionality and content pipelines, and it's going to rigidize and kind of robustify and make you a professional game developer by the fact that you want to scale your game. And I think that's the way it's going to be, is we're going to be providing a lot of initial content, development, design, iteration, and telling it how to guide, and it will help us structure it and then help us scale very rapidly in a way that we actually like. So it's going to help us in our content pipeline, our process, and how we actually structure the code in the project within the game to be much more streamlined, I think, to help everybody scale.
I won't take long. I would say, well, what's happening with AI literally across the entertainment spaces is literally expediting a lot of, I won't say opportunities, but like if you're in film right now or in TV, and what the Unreal game engine is doing now with AI and film, I would tell anybody if you're going to film, that's where you need to go. So what I would say is I'm a big fan of Web3 a couple of years ago because I literally believe the business model makes sense for entertainment, specifically owning your own IP, generational wealth, all the different things that come with it. If you guys remember a couple of years ago, there was a trend. It didn't really hit the U.S. Was a play to earn, right? If you guys remember during the disease days, Philippines, man, literally the whole village were playing these games and making money and making more money than they could make at their work. They literally changed the whole town. I believe that model's coming because of AI. That literally you will get paid to play games and rewards and those type of things. So anyway.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the biggest trend won't be in user testing, because I feel like there's a lot that could be improved with AI in terms of user testing, especially if you have sensors, etc., where you see where people linger. For instance, again, you have an open world, you can see where they like to go, so maybe you need to add more lore there, or that kind of thing. And then again, that improves replayability of your game, right? So that's kind of what I see for the...
And then Dove with the educational games, I think AI is going to take that to another level too. Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
But again, with the educational game though, that's what I was saying. I feel like for now, AI is trying to make everything a lesson instead of something engaging. And I don't mean to say that exactly. I don't mean to say that a lesson is not engaging.
Right.
But
boring, but engaging.
Right. But when it's trying to shove something down your throat, then that's not engaging, right? The whole idea is for you to discover it by yourself. Cool. So now, what is one potential pitfall or ethical dilemma that we should start addressing now?
I always say when we have new technology, man, in the beginning, you're always going to see the good stuff, right? You're always going to see people starting businesses and all that. But let's be real, guys. This world is a 50-50 world, so that other side will be coming with AI, and what's coming from China is very scary, specifically when you talk about the technology that they're doing with face technology and all of that. So, yeah, I'm worried that we will get behind the curve like we did with social media. I think we should have jumped on that right away and policed that and all, and I feel the same. Hopefully with AI it will happen, because I think we all know the other side of it can happen. So yeah, I'm just scared on potentially as China products start hitting the US in AI, because they are so far ahead of us, and they're doing the stuff. If you guys look at it, man, it's just incredible, especially with we're talking about the virtual humans, and I think it's hard to unlearn what you've seen, right? I mean, if you see this, AI create a vision, you see it, it's hard to not say that you didn't see that. And then what I've heard, they're going to have bots around that. So hey, man, is that real? And then the bots will come behind you and tell you, yeah, it's real. So, yeah. And I don't want to get into politics.
Sure. So what was the question again?
One potential pitfall or ethical dilemma.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So I actually give a lot of thought to like the gameplay loop and the games that hook me, and I would argue have an addictive like quality to them. Like I don't know if anyone else in the room had any experience with this game Balatro. Oh my gosh, it was like so good. It had a really tight gameplay loop, which just kept me coming back, and I think that that's great for that game and that community and that developer. That's like a huge success that people want to play your game. And I never have to worry about this poker roguelike game emotionally manipulating me. I can. It doesn't tell me, well, your mother would be disappointed in you, right? So in like Duolingo, the owl could hold a gun to my head and say, now learn your Spanish vocabulary, but it won't get in deep and know personal facts about me. And I just think that when it comes to like, scholars like Julian Tegelius talk about this, like we need to be careful with AI's potential for abusing the player, right? So I worry about that, and I think that as these technologies become more prolific, it'll be easier and easier not just to create something that's addictive, but perhaps something that could be abusive or exploitative to players. And I just really, really worry about what the societal impact of that will be when this technology becomes so easy to implement and you have developers saying, now add addiction to the mix. It could be a dangerous spiral.
Yeah, actually, my point is sort of combining those two. I'm not so afraid of China, I'm kind of afraid of capitalism. Well, I mean, look at three machine learning technologies. The Netflix recommendation algorithm, that was a big deal 10 years ago. It only took $1 million prize to spark a ton of research. Now that's not even a signing bonus for an AI engineer. And then, and that grew and grew and grew to be TikTok, which is an incredibly powerful recommendation engine, or the AI that drives slot machines rather than a random number generator, or the psychophancy of ordinary chatbot. In 5, it looked like OpenAI tried to turn down the buttering up, and we voted with our feet. No, we want to be buttered up. We want to be told every idea is really great. So we're trying to find the limits of artificial intelligence. It's trying to find the limits of human intelligence, and it's doing a better job. It's found our limits. Butter us up, and jiggle us and keep us going. And who's going to put these in place? The organizations that are going to put it in place are not, their goal isn't liberty or equality, fraternity, or pardon me, terrible. It's money, right? It's engagement. It's dominating your attention, taking as much of your time as your cognitive biases will allow them to take. And there's nothing stopping them, and it's freaking going to happen.
You're absolutely right. Just sticking with the AI theme here.
How do you catch that?
All right, so Victoria, you mentioned something about one of your students or some of your students making a decision not to use AI because they weren't learning something.
Yeah.
I would venture to say that the top pitfall is actually happening right now. And there is a big discrepancy between what I can do with AI and what someone with zero experience can do with AI. I have a tremendous power because I'm a subject matter expert with 25 plus years of experience. I know how to work with its shortcomings, and I can excel much faster. They don't even want to use AI because they're not learning. How is us as a society, how are we going to structure things to help the new generation? I honestly can't figure it out. I have a lot of sympathy for the folks trying to get out into the world right now. They're not going to have that advantage. And not everybody's going to be able to see that this is happening. I strongly believe it's happening. The organizations who put out the AI to us are using it to give themselves more and more abilities. They are already exemplifying what I'm saying. And a lot of people don't have, I don't know what the answer is, but that is a huge pitfall, and it is happening. And I'd love for somebody to help noodle this thing out, but yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah, I was, any SCAS students in here? Good. I was just picking at them too, and they just consider like we're artists, and they just don't they want traditional, and you're like, wow, these young folks, and if you look at the room here again, it's mostly a little bit older. We got a couple young guys, but it's mostly older, right? Which is real interesting to me. That these young folks they're kind of like we want to be traditional artists and all like that. So yeah, it is a dilemma we're gonna need to figure out. But hey, I know where the jobs are going to be, so they better figure it out.
Yeah, it's difficult, right? Like, I feel like one of the things that saddens me every time is when I see a review of, like, I don't know, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 or like Expedition 33, where it's like, people still want games that are created by humans. And it's like, yeah, hopefully, you know, but at the same time, you see a lot of games. We were just talking about that over lunch, like, there is a game narrative app that I don't use, but a lot of my students use because it's fun. It's called, I think Passages. It's like a phone app, and it just gives you random stories, and you can pick what happens next, right? So very classic structure, mostly romance. The stories are all terrible. Like, they're very, very bad, but people enjoy it, right? Because it's like, it's a structure that's familiar. It's very easy to predict. And so, you know, I'm wondering for how long those games that are fully made by human, where there is like full engagement, full replay, are going to still be popular, you know, when you have like those things growing. So one of the reasons that we're here is that we're putting together a conference on AI and games, right, with Andrew Greenberg here. And so the upcoming Transformer AI and Games Forum will have researchers, developers, and creators coming to the KSU Center on February 21st and 22nd. What are you personally most excited about this year's edition? And for all of you, there is still time to submit. We are accepting abstracts until November 17th.
I'm excited because I don't know where AI will be in February. I mean, right, guys? Literally, it's weekly, man. It's like what's coming and the technology that's coming. But I also want to mention that you guys here, you got a responsibility too. Since you pay taxes here, you need to step up your games too, because we need some hits. We need some hits. We need some hits from here. We need AI all across the board in entertainment. That's what's going to draw that. That's what's going to bring corporate. That's what's going to bring money here. So I'm telling all y'all, step up your games too. We need some hits. I'm counting on y'all.
All right.
So one of the reasons I'm really proud of the event that we put on this year and excited to put on the second iteration of the event in February is that when I was a kid, there really wasn't an academic space for games. I mean, games did not have that level of treatment in the ivory tower, like at all. And now to be part of something where we're bringing, industry and academia together to have serious conversations about games, I think is awesome. It's really cool to see professors talking about how they approach games as a player, how they approach it as a developer. It's really interesting to see people coming from all different parts of the production workflow, saying how they're incorporating AI in practical ways, leading workshops on that. And I'm just super excited to be part of that because as a lifelong gamer and a lifelong academic, I'm just so happy that these two are converging and that we can help foster the space for that. So if you are seriously committed to the world of gaming and want to see it elevated in the research space or the teaching space or in industry in some way, we'd love to support that through the event.
So I have to depend on Dylan to say this name. The guy who's the keynote speaker, who you mentioned earlier.
Julian Tegelius.
Julian Tegalius, thank you, is
It's like Rumpelstiltskin.
I feel like I passed this time. He's going to be speaking about where AI is expected to be, but isn't. In particular, in-game AI. Why is game AI everywhere else in games, but we're not really seeing where we expect to see it most? The characters that we're talking about, that we're going to be engaging us. I'm curious to see that. Last year, I enjoyed everything. I enjoyed people talking about their successes, but there were a few people that almost shouldn't have been showing off what they were showing off. There were a few people showing off things that didn't work. And to me, that was the best. First of all, because you feel like, well, at least I'm not there. But also to say, I'm not going to go there. You and I attended one where a guy over-directed the AI. He tried to program it and treat it like an ordinary algorithm rather than a learning system. And you can see the results of that were terrible. And that's great. Now I know something to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm fired up really about the possibility that some of those teams might want to make a multiplayer game and they'd use GoNet as their multiplayer solution.
Sponsors.
Yeah, exactly. Keep me in mind. But honestly, I just like being involved. I like to see what people are doing, new innovative ideas, even if it's something simple, just a proof of concept. I love to see that spark within the students and the teams. So hopefully I'll be able to come through.
Yeah, to me there were really two main things that were really, really cool about the event this year and that I'm really hoping to see next year as well, which is the kind of intersection that Dylan already mentioned between academia, the industry, and students, right? So you have the workforce that is about to enter, students who are about to enter the workforce, and then researchers who have worked on those things, but more on the, academic perspective, and then how the industry applies that. And so there was a big discussion between those people, which was fascinating to me. And one of the things that we thought would happen and that didn't happen, so I'm kind of hoping it will this year, is debates. Everyone agreed that AI was a good tool, but it wasn't perfect, and that it couldn't really make a game by itself. And we didn't really have any debate about that. People were all kind of on the same page. So, I'm kind of hoping if you have a contradicting point of view, then please feel free to submit. So I think that's basically it. Do you all have any closing remarks or anything that you would like to say?
I'd like to see the microphone turned off and hear Asante tell us.
Yeah, Asante has something
Yeah.
cooking up.
All right, we're cutting the mic.
Didn't you say you have things you can only say with the microphone?
Oh,
For Asante this time. How do you feel?
no.
Honestly.
I'm excited. I will say one thing. There's a lot of interest here in Atlanta. I literally talked to a company today from UK, and they are building. So there's a lot of interest. Guys, I put our talent up against anyone's, and you guys know what I'm saying here. And our talent, it was always our tax credits and then our talent, and now it's you guys. So that's why I'm telling you guys to step your game up. We need some hits, make some hits, because that's what they're seeing. The tax credits are great. Actually, they're okay, right, Andrew? We couldn't get them better, but it's our talent right now that's literally standing out. So that's what I would say. And then what you guys are doing at the school level, I always want to tell you guys what the job you're doing, specifically what you guys are doing at Kennesaw. Those students are placing very well right now. So I just want to tell that to all the folks out here on that level. I don't put anybody against us. And that's what's happening right now. So step your games up, have some hits. And we got, could you introduce yourself real quick? Another company that we're going to be setting up here, hopefully. Tell them real quick what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Josh. I run a company called Data Coach. We're the analytics layer for competitive esports. So we equip coaches with the tools so that they don't have to do a whole bunch of manual reviews, and they can spend more time with the students and the players to help them improve their gameplay.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, again, there's a lot of eyeballs looking our way. And I think it'll be the same at film and TV. We had Tyler, we had some hits. And I think it'll be the same with some of the students you guys are having as they start developing games and we have some hits. Everybody will be watching. And then the last part Andrew and I got to work on is funding the conference, right? So one of my goals, and I'm sorry to talk too long here, but really want to start focusing on recruiting AI companies here to literally start working with the students and all like that. So if you guys have ties to OpenAI, Runway, any of these big companies, hit me up, man. And then I've had success like that when I'm in a Synergy building, Tech Square, so a lot of innovation centers are in there. So Microsoft was a big one for us, man. And guys, we literally started. That's my sales pitch. Oh, come in Georgia and just set up an innovation center. And guys, our talent always. It's a done deal, basically. And we got another economic development guy here. Once we get them in Atlanta, guys, it's a done deal. So all that to say, I'm talking a lot, but again, we need you guys, man. We need you guys to step your games up. We need you guys to educate and all this stuff like that. And I'll tell you right now, there's nobody I feel in the U.S. that can compete with us. I mean, I compete a lot with Canada and a lot of other places as you see the film industry leaving, but I don't think anybody can compete with us with our
We
talent.
need money to make money. Asante, let's get some money flowing out.
Yeah, all right, y'all. So we're gonna take a collection around.
No, and to add to that, like, the reason why I'm insisting so much on this AI in game forum that we're putting up, again, February 21st, 22nd, save the dates in your calendar, is because it's the first one in the US.
Okay.
There's one in the UK that has been running on for several years, but to our knowledge, there is no other one in the US. And so, if Georgia is pioneering in this, then you want to sit at the table, right? So please come join us. Again, you still have time to submit an abstract if you want to join.
Can I ask a question real quick?
We're
not mic'd up? Okay, yeah, so the question is, working with industry, so the ideas that fuel what these teams are going to be doing, is it from the teams only, or do they have some industry, people they bounce ideas off of? Because if we want Georgia to shine, let's get more brain power possibly. A couple of sparks, a little bit of experience here, a couple of ideas sprinkled in. I don't know. So how does that set up? Is it all student driven?
No, not at all. So again, we have researchers, we have industry speakers.
Okay.
We're basically talking about the state of AI in games at the forum.
Gotcha.
So usually, what's going to happen is on Saturday we'll have presentations. Usually they're a little more academic centered. And then on Sunday we have practical workshops where you can learn skills, learn how to use specific softwares, that kind of thing. And so it's super exciting because you learn a lot of things, and then you get to meet people, right? Last year we had Luke Dickin from Take-Two Interactive.
Nice.
We had Jeremiah Long. We had Ken Kersey from InWorld AI, who has recently been purchased by Adobe, if I'm not mistaken. So we have good people there. So you want to join? And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No questions.
I think it's something
Well, we got to turn the room.
like,
We're officially supposed to be turning the room